I have 8 o'clock, which means it's time to start. So I'm going to mute everyone. And then as we get done with the program, we'll start the show and tell portion. Okay, everybody should be muted. So Les, it's time to take it away.
All right. So we've got two opaque colors this week, and they're the two green ones. They were both produced for a very short period of time. And some discussion here to start off with that jade doesn't come up or doesn't appear as often as some other of the opaque colors. Well, it was a very brief color. It was introduced in 1924, that we know, but the suspicion it was only produced in 1924 and 1925, which is a really narrow period of time. It is a blue-green. So I got an example here. I think I overheard Christine say that she really liked the color of jade. You know, color is a thing, it's a personal preference type thing. So this really bluish green, which jade is, doesn't hit me as green as something like the other color we're going to be talking about, Pomona green, which really is like vegetation green, a yellower type green that leans yellow. So those are the two colors we're going to be talking about tonight. Pomona green also is a very short duration color. 1927, we think, well, I think we know it was introduced in 1927, but based on the small amount of it that pops up and then the blanks that it's made in, that it was probably limited to 1927 and 1928. So the two colors did not overlap, or at least it does not appear that they did. They're opaque colors. That means that key ingredient in the formula is fluorspar, which is calcium fluoride. And I guess if you think of calcium and you think of fluoride, you might think white. And really, that's what fluorspar did to the formula. It turned, you got opal glass, white glass. But then, of course, if you added colorants, then you added color. So for jade, there's not a lot of colorants in either one of these. Jade, it was overwhelmingly copper, which imparts a blue-green color. So that's a perfect fit. There was a little bit of chromium as well, which gives you green. Pomona green, on the other hand, it was overwhelmingly chromium, which gives you a green color. They did have a touch, which surprised me, almost of copper, which would take it a bit blue. But then they added iron oxide, which, you know, we've talked so much about the problems with iron in sand as an impurity because it makes glass green. Well, when you make green glass, that's fine. So they actually added a little extra iron than what would have been in the sand originally. Jade is a gemstone. And often when we think about jade, that word, we may think of jadeite, which is a light green. The gemstone jade can actually come in many different colors, not just this bluish green, but it is one of the types of colors that jade, the gemstone, can be. Now, with Pomona green, there's a lot of people, you know, they said, what are you talking about, Pomona green? That's avocado. And as collectors, we've referred to this as avocado for, you know, a lot of the history of NCC. It's a little bit ironic, though, because the early pioneers, Harold and Junie Bennett, as well as John Wolfe, whose mother worked at the factory in Cambridge, they openly referred to it as Pomona green. So when Colors Books 1 and 2 were published, they must have lost their confidence in that decision that it was actually Pomona green as far as the company name for the color. And they just used the collector name, which was avocado. Now, I must admit that I really like avocado because it reminds me of my childhood. You're saying, what? Did you grow up eating a lot of avocados? No, in fact, when I was growing up, I probably never got exposed to an avocado on the farm in southern Minnesota. That would have probably been for rich people. But my mother was so tickled with her brand new large refrigerator. that was avocado in color. And, you know, most of you are too young to remember all those appliances. I think they came out in about 1965, 1966, and then were made through the 70s. So I have to admit, when I think avocado today, yeah, I do think of the fruit because it's become so popular over the last couple decades. But in my brain, I still think avocado. I think of the avocado refrigerator appliances, and I see a few of you smiling, so you can probably remember those appliances as well. Ironically, these colored appliances are coming back right now in vogue. You know, it's been mostly white or black in recent history, but they actually have brought back an avocado. It's called avocado cream, I think. So it's not quite this heavy duty green color for the appliances. So again, it's funny whenever you got nostalgia, especially from your childhood, how that impacts, you know, how you like or dislike things. At the 2010 NCC convention, I did an educational program in the evening on the Cambridge colors. And earlier that year, I had published an article in the Crystal Ball that, based on the formulas in the Helmer's batch book, that I really thought Avocado's company name was Pomona Green. It just seemed like it was a good fit based on the ingredients, the ones we just talked about. Well, I was going through the colors and mentioned this, that we didn't know what the real name was. Well, then two of the people in the audience, two people that a lot of you know, Toby Mack and Marty DeGroff from Chicago, long-term NCC members, and who wrote the wonderful book about the DeVilbiss perfumes and atomizers. They said, "Oh, we've got pieces at home that have the company label on the underside with the name, and it is Pomona Green." So of course, well, okay, show us the goods. So we don't like taking people's words for word for things. We like the documentation. So we got the photos, and it was this pin tray that I've been showing, as well as the pen tray. Both pieces on the back side had one of those company labels. I'm sure many of you know what I'm talking about. And it flat out said Pomona Green on it. So from there forward, we've been using Pomona Green. Now, you know how that goes. What do you mean Pomona Green? It's avocado. So you can call it whatever you want. And for me, nostalgically, I still probably will kind of refer to it often as avocado, but the company name that they used for it was Pomona Green. There was, I think, in the Kindle book 3, it says it was a Pomona Green perfume that was found. Well, I've never seen or heard of a perfume. It doesn't really fit time-wise. So it was those two pieces from the desk set that helped us confirm that it was actually Pomona Green was the factory name. So I've got just a few items, 3 items actually, in jade to show tonight. I'm sure we're going to see some wonderful pieces in your collections. So this is a perfume, and it is a DeVilbiss with DeVilbiss fittings. This one in jade's hard to find. You're more likely to find the one with the gold band on it than this one with the basket decoration. So a nice piece with both the gold and the enamel inside filled into the etching, and there's some enamel on the base and the fittings, and of course this one actually has an intact cord and bulb as well. I know a lot of you like these cylinder vases, and I do as well. So this is a jade vase with the classic gold encrusted, and it likewise has some enamel on the top and on the bottom. So the classic decoration looks very good on these cylinder vases, and I think it is rather attractive in jade. I don't collect jade, but I do pick up a piece here and there that I like. This is something I'm very proud to have. It is the small Buddha in jade. As far as jade, I think this is the only Buddha we're aware of, and there is one bun geisha as well in jade. So this is a case again where apparently there were some test pieces run to see if it was something that they really wanted to put into production. So that's my jade. I'm sure we're going to see some wonderful pieces from your collections of jade. Then moving on with the avocado, I think Jack showed before the bird feeder, and it is in avocado. So again, probably more common in azurite, because that was a longer term color, but they did make it in avocado, even though it was a short term color. The range of color is pretty incredible. Look at this candlestick. I got a pair. Look at that ring around the edge on that thing as far as the range of color. So that was the thing with these transparent colors, that you a lot of times had this streaking that would appear. Now, actually, I find it kind of attractive because I like slaggy type of opaque glass, but maybe other people wouldn't care for that quite as much. Another piece, and I think this is really, I do collect avocado or Pomona Green, whichever you prefer. And I think this one's a really cool piece, because this is the, what do you call it now? We tend to call it the spittoon, but there's another name for it. And it is in the production catalog for the community line. And the shape is unique, and it was a functional piece for spitting, and that's what it was made for. Now, this color is quite deeper or darker than those other pieces I showed you. So there really was a range of color for the Pomona Green or avocado. Now, when you do research for this type of thing, you trip across some really interesting facts. So in 1927, that's when we believe Pomona Green was introduced. It turns out that same year, they introduced a stemware line. And there's not a name. I don't like using the numbers for these programs, but it's 3085, 3085. This is a piece. Same year, they introduced Pomona Green. They introduced this stemware line. As far as I know, this is the first time Cambridge used an opaque colored glass for stemware. And it kind of doesn't make sense, does it? I mean, don't you really want something transparent while you're filling it up and while you're drinking out of it? To put wine in this and then knowing how much is left in it, or that type of thing. So maybe they were showing off. They had this new color and they had this new stemware line. This stemware line, very brief, 27 to 29, maybe just like a 3-year period of time. So it's a good fit, and none of the other opaque colors earlier that we're aware of had a stemware counterpart. Well, the same year, they introduced an etching, and it's this rose band etching, and it appears on the same stemware line. This is the 2-ounce wine, and it's really pretty, but just coincidentally, all three were introduced in 1927. In that same decoration, same gold-filled decorate from an etching is the cordial. And I think this is maybe about the top of a line for cordial collectors in Cambridge. It's a 3085, very short-term line. Pomona Green, very short-term color with that rose. See it there, it's a rose in that etching. And of course, it's a band, so it's been filled in. So, well, there was one other of the etchings that was introduced in 1927. And it was Imperial Hunt. So again, all I can think of here, they were just showing off. Whatever came out there in 1927, they had the Pomona Green, they had the 3085 stemware line, and they had Imperial Hunt. Let's throw them all together. So it's a very short period of time that this could have even been made, as far as all of them coming together. Now, one other piece from that stemware line, it's not a stem, it's a tumbler, but it's from the 3085 line. And look at the opalescence on that foot. And look at the range, it's like slaggy almost, but much of it is darker, like that spittoon. Cuspidor, that's the other name I was thinking about. They call it a cuspidor, which is the same thing as a spittoon. It's for you're chewing snuff, you take your break. But the range of color again in this Pomona Green. So that got me thinking. So what other Cambridge opaque colors were used in stemware lines? A drinking vessel. We've got like ebony feet on stems. We've got the Crown Tuscan stem on the nude, but then other parts that are transparent. The only two that I could find or think of were this ebony. There's a small number in this number. Again, there's no name, so I'm going to have to use the number 3077. Was introduced in 1928, and there is a bit of this that pops up with the Imperial Hunt etching gold encrusted on it. Again, it's Imperial Hunt. Some people add the scene at the end, and Mark Nye gave a good program at convention explaining there is no reference whatsoever to this was called Imperial Hunt Scene or Hunt Scene. It was Imperial Hunt, and then we as collectors put that scene on the end. So that's an example of another opaque stemware line. And the only other one I could find, maybe some of you know, have another example, was the trumpet vase, trumpet stems that accompany, just like the ones that the Czech showed us earlier. This one also is Porsche. So I think this is identical, only it's crown. I just have the one. I don't have a set of them. I just got this one, but it's another example of an opaque stemware piece. I think those are the only three that I'm aware of. Maybe some others know some more about it. So Julie, that's what I've got to get things rolling.
Okay, I just have one question, Les. When was the Crown Tuscan trumpet made? At the same time period?
1934.
Okay, because I'm thinking out loud, I kind of like history. And I was thinking the only reason you might have an opaque glass is you don't want people to know what you're drinking. And we would be in the middle of prohibition at this point. And so maybe it's, a way that they were disguising what they were drinking, perhaps. But Pomona Green is very, very well known as a very, very rich green silk. So when we talk about Pomona Green, I think of it as kind of like the Regency era of clothing, which was very ornate clothing that was very high end. And I don't know if Cambridge, this is just me thinking out loud, this was the reason they may have named it this, is just to kind of give it that higher echelon thought based on its naming. Don't know. Do we have any other records that go back to why it was named this way?
I don't think we've got any documentation on why they named things the way they did, but you're very right. I did a Google search, and you're absolutely right on what you just said, Julie. And Pomona Green, Regency era, and it's a yellowish green, a green that leans yellow, and that's exactly what this is. And again, they must have been pretty excited about it when they introduced it in 1927, because we believe that Jade was out of production. So they were moving on to new things and their goal was to sell to the public. So if they could tie into something like you're talking about, what did you say? It was some type of silk or something?
Silk, yes.
It was a hot commodity. That's what the company would have done to try and capture, that type of trend and to market accordingly. And the fact that they did, at least some of the pieces, put a gold encrusted etching on it, that says that they had high regard for it. Now, was it a good seller? Perhaps not. Perhaps not. I will be interested to see if others tonight, everything's okay. If you've got Pomona Green, if people have this rose gold incrustation on it, because that's the most common one that you will find as far as a band decoration on Pomona Green. So maybe some other people will show us those tonight.
Yeah.
Good question.
Okay. And I think I always like to look at time periods. And again, this is the Art Deco period. And because I like to think architecturally and historically, and during the Art Deco period, a lot of things were very gilded. It was meant to be a very rich type of era. So again, kind of tying history back into what happened during this time, as we know that there was a lot of traveling by Arthur Bennett back and forth to Europe. And Europe was also having this kind of Art Deco period. I think that's why we saw a lot of this opulent type of styling or bands or gilding of the pieces as well. So that's just my take historically.
It kind of fits into that new HBO series, The Gilded Age, that I've been enjoying. Can't wait to see season 2.
Oh, good. Okay, so with that being said, I have a few people that emailed me, and I got to go back to my original page. I like to take notes. We're going to start with Christine tonight with the checks on deck. So you'll have to unmute yourself and then we'll go from there.
I don't have too much. Most of mine's kind of plain, but I have 3 jade vases. Of course, the small little vase here. And then I have I like to call it the stick one. It kind of looks like just a straight stick. I have this in helio, but mine that has more gold and stuff on that one. And then this one I think is really cool because it was both a vase and then could be a candlestick as well. It's really a heavy one, which is, I think, so unusual for a lot of the Cambridge vases. They don't tend to be real heavy, and that one is. And then the only thing I have that's Pomona Green, and it made me smile last because my parents built a house in 1966, and guess what color their refrigerator was? And that was, they had a side by side, which was very unusual to find, at that time. So you made me smile when you said that. So this, I have a refractory bowl. This is a pretty dark one, pretty dark color. So just kind of let you see. I always called it the bathtub because that's what it looked like in my mother-in-law's house. So that's all I have.
Oh, thank you. That's really cool. I like those refractory bowls. I think they're just really cool. I don't have one yet, but I want one.
Yeah, I love the feet are really unusual. That's what I like about them.
Okay, wonderful. So next, thank you, Christine. Always appreciate what you bring to the table here. So next, we're going to move to the checks, and we're going to follow that with the Streblers, please.
Well, we only have a few pieces because in fact, it's funny because before the meeting, that was what I was looking for. One of the pieces was the refractory bowl, whatever. It's that bowl. And I couldn't find it. I had come across it not too long ago. So, but the rest of it is hiding in the house somewhere. But I did come across this center handled server. It's the oval shaped one. We also have a round one, but this one's got some black scuff in the glass, but it's pretty translucent if you hold it up. We've also got a smaller bowl that's pretty translucent too. That's the only thing I have right tonight to show in Pomona. And then Jade, the candlestick. We've got just one of these, so I'm looking for a mate for it. And this does have, it's probably hard to see, but it's got some of the, kind of slag, that kind of effect on the stem. And then the last piece is one of the cylinder vases, but it's that like spatter decoration, and
like silver and black,
kind of gold. It's actually
gold
yeah.
speckles.
Yeah. Oh, it's very dusty. So it hasn't been dusted in a while, but that's all we have to show tonight.
Oh, well, thank you.
I was hoping we'd find something in this show, but didn't find too many opaques. So,
well, as we were told, these were not made for a long time period. So
right.
It's going to be limited in finding what we have here. So it's always nice to see the different colors. Okay, next we are going to move on to Mike Strebler, and then we'll go to Jack, please.
Thank you, Julie. Okay, I love plates, and this is it's kind of interesting to see through it. There we go. And this is an avocado 10.5-inch plate, and we like to call them dinner plates, but I think they're actually service plates. Jack, anybody? Is that right?
10.5 is normally a dinner plate, where the 12s are more of the, I would call them buffet or meat platter plates. That's my reference anyway. That doesn't mean that those aren't larger plates.
So here's the camera's always backwards, or I am, one of the two. So that's a salad plate. And then we got, the salad's 8 inches, and then we got something in between, which is about a 9-inch plate. So whatever that thing is, but I just love plates. And in avocado, I was gonna put my finger over the ball, so this one isn't like Wes's. Mine doesn't have the ball in it.
I saw it before you put your pink finger over it.
Okay. Okay, then we got a cheese and cracker set. And like Mary's plate, this baby's oval. It's kind of interesting how you can see through it so well on this camera tonight. And there's the cracker thing. We have a lot of, I didn't bring any of the platters, but there's a lot of like platter-like things in Pomona. When I say a lot, I mean, if you have one, that's a lot. But we have a couple of them. I didn't bring those up, but I did bring this up, which is a covered candy box. I thought that was kind of cool. You see that in a lot of different versions in Cambridge. And this needs a top. So whoever's got the top, please send it to me. I need it. Lyle, is that you? I think maybe.
No, send it to Lisa.
Send it to Lisa. We got a much
It
better
is.
chance of getting
It
one.
is, that is my piece. So,
Oh, I'm sorry. I
Yes.
held up her piece.
yeah, so that's okay. It's, community line. It's just, it's just it's just really special. I love the community line and really a heavy piece of glass. You could hurt somebody with this. And it's got in different spots, it has different slag variation in it, just slight. So beautiful.
And I got a question for the crowd. Does the lid on this thing, is it always avocado? Or do they sometimes match it with ebony? Anybody? Nobody?
I've never seen one with ebony, but they certainly made it with the Pomona Green. So I don't know why they would have made it or marketed with ebony. I haven't seen an ad, but anything's possible.
Yes, well, and I'm just asking, Les, so.
Well, and if an ebony one were to be found, I would put
We
it
would
there.
put it in there and say it was.
Yeah.
Say that it was factory.
At least until,
It came from the Cambridge Halloween line, I'm sure, with the black top.
there you go.
Yeah, the funny thing about Pomona, it is hard to find, and I could go through at some of my pieces and tell you where they came from. This would be Captain Rick.
Hey, Mike, speaking of that,
There it is.
There it is.
it's only an avocado. It's not an ebony.
Okay, so can we have your other lid, Rick?
No, that's a hard no, Mike. Sorry, bud.
In the meantime, Lisa is now drooling and saying she's going to come visit you, Rick.
So if anybody saw how I gave attribution of this to Captain Rick, and then the next thing you know, he shows up with my lid.
Yeah.
That's how it works. That's glass collecting at its best.
Thank you, Rick. I've missed seeing that.
Okay, this was, I showed Christine earlier. This is Jade.
I enjoyed seeing the Jade Buddha. Thank you, Les.
Lisa, I just put a light emerald green in mine. I found that for the time being until I find one in Pomona Green.
Yeah,
Okay.
that would work too.
Jade is we don't have a lot of jade, but I did, as I said, I like plates. So here's a 10.5 incher again. And in most of the colors, I'll have a service plate and a salad, but not in jade. This is the only piece we got in jade. And then I'll let Lisa do the final one here. And this is another commemorative piece.
So this beautiful 119, and I call
Pull it
this,
back a little bit.
I call this a sponge treatment. This is really beloved in my collection. This comes from my dear friends, Rick and Cindy Jones. It has the note that Cindy gave to me at the time it finally came to my collection. I love this piece of glass, and I have lots of 119s, but this one is extraordinarily meaningful and special because it came from them. Thank you both so much.
And that's all we got for tonight. Thank you for having us.
Oh, you're welcome. I just love the Pomona Green. I have to be honest. I'm a green person, so I really like those types of items and
Well, I'm
very
gonna feel bad
interesting.
if I didn't bring up some of the things that, if they don't show up. There's a little footed vase or footed bowl and a couple variations of flip bowls and stuff like that. But I'm hopeful they'll still show up on the program tonight. It's not like any of this is easy to find, and even if it's been shown already, don't please, I ask everybody on the call, don't be.
Oh, we lost you. I don't know. He must have turned himself. Oh, Mike, you turned your.
That's because I was done.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
All right.
Next is, and if it doesn't show up, it would be wonderful for you to take a few pictures and send them to David for his article. I think that would be great, just to showcase all the different styles and types and of things that are found in Pomona Green. So that would be wonderful. Thank you. And really appreciate that basket. Is absolutely gorgeous. One of a kind, I'm sure. So next we'll move over we have Jack and Captain Rick. Do you have any other pieces you'd like to share with us?
I've got two I could, Julie, so sure.
I'll put you last. So next is Jack, and we'll put Captain Rick on deck, please.
Okay, thanks, Julie. I just have a few pieces, but these are three jade pieces. In the middle, there is the perfume with the, actually has a dauber that I can get out that's actually intact. And then the two atomizers on each side, and they all have that gold splash sponge treatment, however they did that. This one's in gold. I know they also did it in whatever else that's kind of a silver looking thing or enamel looking, but this is actually a bright gold. It may not quite show up on the screen. So anyway, those are three of those things. And also have one other jade piece. And of course, this comes out of the Bitters Bottle collection. And it's the Jade Bitters bottle. And again, it's just, this is one of those, I think you've seen me show some of those before, where they just took the vase and they just put a tube in it and made a bitters bottle. So that's what they did with this one as well. So, and have one Pomona piece, and this is a candlestick. I have a pair of these, but this is the 639 candlesticks, and you see these two. Alessa had shown these with the rose variant etched gold band on it. I've seen these candlesticks with that on it as well. I don't have a pair, but I know I have seen them. So, and that's it. That's what I got. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Do we know on the silver decoration, which is like the sponge, is it a silver or is it a white gold?
The ones that probably it's a white gold. Cambridge wasn't doing silver in the 20s. They were doing a lot of white gold. So that's probably what it is, but I don't know. Maybe Les knows.
Well, that I've got that same candlestick. I think it's the one that's in the colors book. It's got an etching, a band etching, but I think it's platinum filled, and it's Cambridge, and it's tougher than anything. You aren't going to wipe it off or erase it off. So I think they were using platinum as well, which is more durable.
Yes. I wondered if it was platinum or white gold, and
the thing with platinum, though, it gets some I think is white gold, because the platinum is generally really shiny, whereas white gold is more dull. In fact, people will mistake white gold for silver and try to polish it, which kind of ruins it. But Because I think, did somebody have tonight have, white gold was one of the jade candlestick bases? Christine, did you have, was that white gold or was that gold, did you say? Was that yellow gold? I don't know if she's still on or not, because I think she had that sponge treatment. Oh, in the
Yeah, I'm
basket.
showing the base. I'll be honest, I don't know.
Is it, yeah, if it's yellow gold, you'll know it, because it's yellow, it's gold. So,
It's not yellow.
okay, then that's
It's not.
either the platinum or the white gold. So,
I know, next time I see you, I'll have to bring it to you and you can look at it.
okay.
I'll just say that this jade basket is definitely not yellow gold. I
Yeah.
have, it has definitely a more of a silvery color, but I wouldn't say it's silver. It's platinum, but
No, it wouldn't be platinum.
or platinum or white gold.
It's not platinum.
It's not.
No.
So in any event, though, but it is definitely not yellow gold, and it's just beautiful. And
It looks dirty on the.
and it does kind of look dirty, but I truly wouldn't put like any kind of cleaner on it or anything. I'm a little hesitant to do anything like that. Like I said earlier when I was talking about it, this is one of my beloved pieces, and wouldn't take the chance that I might hurt it. But you can see the band on the base on the foot. I don't know if it'll show up.
Sure. Go the other way. There
This
you go.
way there.
Yeah, it's backwards.
See, you can see the shine of a light on it. So it's really very
More
silver,
of a silver look.
silver rather than yellow gold. So.
Okay.
With my earlier comments, I wasn't insinuating that Cambridge didn't use white gold, although I don't think we've got any firm evidence in anywhere about white gold. Lynn Welker has talked a lot about it, and it may very well be correct. For the vases and ebony and that type thing, in the catalogs, it says silver, but we doubt that it's silver. The piece that I was talking about was this one that I think is platinum. And that is a Cambridge etching in the etching book. And it's very heavy. It's quite shiny. I've never polished it. I tend to think this is platinum, but they probably use different products to have a silver type look. I don't know about that, but again, I tend to think this one is platinum. And that spatterware, I don't know what they may have used. I tend to think it would erase off if you took an eraser on it. So I wouldn't do that.
Well, it would be interesting and the new items that have been scanned and so forth from Larry and their research to find out if there's any mention. It would be really nice to have that kind of information. So we'll have to dig a little bit here and see what we come up with. So with that being said, we're going to move on to Captain Rick, and we'll see what items he has to share with us tonight. And thank you so much to all of you so far that have shown your items.
Julie, I think I'm off mute now, so I'm actually going to disagree with Mike. I think that is actually I think that's platinum on that. I think that'd be a good story for an article. There's a lot of sponge work. Somebody showed a cylinder vase earlier tonight that I would have thought was the sponge platinum. We've had 2 or 3 pieces like that, so I think that's something worth investigating. Can't help you more than that. I didn't have anything pulled, so I just scrambled to pull a few things based on what people talked about. This is an oval tray, like has been shown, and it has that gold decoration that Les was describing as kind of a rose pattern, but I'm not seeing roses here. It's just I may not be that familiar with it. Let's see if that gets. Can you ID that, Les, from here?
Those are roses, and they called it rose.
Okay, cool. But it's the same pattern that we've had on stemware as well. Like I said, I don't have a lot to show tonight, but I pulled one perfume that's a different shape than what Les or Jack showed. And it's a very cute little one. We've also had this in azurite, and it has gold bands to it. I apologize for the camera quality on my HP here. Can you see that? Just simple gold band, but it's a unique shape for a perfume or an atomizer. And since Les already showed the Buddha, I'll have to show the dragon. This is an illustration. This is the perfume lamp, jade, with the dragon etch.
And that was done for De Vilbus. And, for many years, I was really out looking for one in azurite or helio or something. They only made them in jade. It was a
Yep.
sales item strictly for De Vilbus. They sold them to De Vilbus. So don't waste your time trying to find it in some other opaque color. Now I'll say that, and then someone will find one in azurite next week, but none as others have popped up yet.
Ricky,
Because
can you
never
show
know,
show that last thing again?
the
Is that
perfume lamp, Mike?
lamp?
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Les, it may show up in primrose one of these days because there's a couple of beautiful primrose vases that have the dragon etch.
Yeah, but they were marketed by Cambridge. That piece is marketed by De Vilbus.
Yeah, they bought the lamp from Cambridge, and then De Vilbus marketed it. That's it, Julie. Not much.
All right. Well, thank you. Does anyone else have any glass to share with us tonight? Okay, I know this was going to be a shorter one because of the time periods of the glassware, but I thank everyone for showing what they have. It's always, to me, very, very educational to see what pieces are out there. And being that I like history, I like to affiliate history and so forth, what was going on at the glass company at the time. So thank you again for showing all the pieces. It's always so interesting to see. Some are decorated, some are not decorated. And now we have a bigger question is gold, platinum, white gold. I think that would be a really interesting thing to look at a little more closely by some of our historians. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to David. Do you want to talk about our upcoming Zooms?
Thank you, Julie. I appreciate that. I don't know that I can add a whole lot to what already has been said about the white gold versus the platinum, but I know that's been a discussion that's been bantered around multiple times. And if there's no documentation out there, it's really difficult to know what you're really looking at on some of those items. But it would be interesting to find out. And like Les said, there's actually multiple things. Well, we know there's platinum, but they probably did use multiple things out there to give the silver effect on a Cambridge glass. So good luck finding that out. I just want to update everyone that we are going to have Zoom next month in September. I was having a little panic attack when I looked on the website. The website is not the correct date for the next Zoom meeting because we are going to continue with the Tuesday meeting we're having now through the end of the year at least. The Zoom team will get together sometime in probably September to kind of look through 2023 and see what direction we're going to go with programming. But for the remainder of the year, it will be on Tuesday. And the next program in September will be Tuesday, September 20th. Tuesday, September 20th. And the theme for that night will be, it will be,
Here we go.
where are we at here? Something happened. It'll be smoke, Mardi Gras, and crackle. Am I the only one not seeing something? What happened?
I see you, David.
Okay, my screen just went black there for a second. I thought maybe I would have hit something inadvertently. So for September on, what did I say? Tuesday, September 20th, we're going to wrap up with smoke, Mardi Gras, and crackle. Crackle is not a color, it's more of a decoration. It was imparted on glass during the 20s and during the 50s. So if you have any glass from either of those two eras that are crackle glass, you can bring those for show. Julie, that's all I've got this evening. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. Well, it's always a pleasure for me to see everyone come to Zoom. And as you find out, I kind of keep track who's here and who's not here. And when I don't see you for a couple of months, I get concerned. So we'll try to reach back out to all of our other friends. And continue through the next several months. And I hope you'll join us in September. And again, I thank everyone that's willing to share their glass with us and really appreciate the time that you take out to join us each and every month. And David, we look forward to seeing the article come out in the Crystal Ball. I know a lot of people really enjoy the articles and we'll, I'm sure, get a lot of requests for the Zoom video footage as well. So thank you to everyone and have a good evening, and we'll catch up in a month.